Today is Monday, October 26th. I am your host, Casey Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. All right. I am, you know, I'm just, the day is winding down, and I'm not tired. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a word. It's like the word right under tired. I don't want to say mellow. It's like the in between, right below tired, because I don't want to take it that far, and then right above mellow. So I'm just, I guess, riding the wave or something. I don't know. But yeah. And the crazy thing is that I picked this daily thought to discuss at one of possibly the worst times while Mercury is still in retrograde, which I'm sure you've heard me mention like 3,274 times already. And again, it ends on the 4th, and the after effects will be felt for 7 to 10 days after that. But I do want to discuss this, and I wanted to be short, and I hope I don't jinx myself, because every time, for those who have been following the show, every time that I say that, oh, it's going to be short, then of course it ends up being like 30 minutes or something. What I want to talk about is memory. I want to talk about memory. I mentioned before how people take things for granted at times. And one of those things is memory. And sometimes you don't realize how precious the memories are until one comes back to you that was buried. Because for the most part, and we talked about this in psychology, for the most part, memories, you don't really forget anything. It just stays buried in your brain. It's almost like if you hear a song that you haven't heard in like 10 years, but you already know the lyrics to it because you used to listen to it all the time. Just like for me, I don't listen to albums regularly, but if you were to put on an album where I listened to it back a long time ago, I'm trying to think of a song that I just know, like Expose. There's a song, this beautiful song. It's called I'll Never Get Over You, Getting Over Me. If you haven't heard of Expose, they were a popular girl group in the 90s. And they did really well. Their album sold millions of copies. And there's another beautiful song on that album. It's called As Long As I Can Dream. If you ever get a chance, check it out sometime. Expose. EXPOSE with the accent mark. Expose. Cool girl group back in the 90s. And if I heard I'll Never Get Over You, Getting Over Me, I haven't listened to that song in forever. But as soon as it starts playing, it'll come back to me. I'll remember the lyrics. I couldn't do it right now because I have to really focus. But my point is that the memories are there. And sometimes it's harder to retrieve the memories. The recall is more difficult as you get older. I was thinking about this job that randomly just popped into my head at one time. And it was either last week or the week before last. And it was a job I worked when I first lived in Los Angeles. And it was for an adult website where I did customer service for them. And of course, the people would call in or write in saying that they didn't subscribe to it and say they're going to do a charge back and all this other stuff and yada, yada, yada. But I digress. The thing that threw me off when that memory of that job came back is that I had totally it had been buried. I don't want to say forgot, because as I said before, you don't necessarily forget things. It's just the point of things are buried and then your brain has to recall it. And as I'm having this conversation, as I'm telling you about this, I just thought about another job back a long time ago, like 20 years ago, that I worked for maybe not even a day. I just told them I was taking a lunch break, or I was taking a break, and then I got in my car and drove off and didn't come back. And now another job I'm thinking of where I worked in manufacturing. And I had to break these things out of whatever it was. It was like these pieces, and then you had to throw the other stuff in the furnace and do all types of stuff. It was crazy because I got it through a temp agency. And then there was another job I got through a temp agency where I had to break down boxes for this vitamin company and stuff. And it's amazing where, as I'm having this conversation with you guys, as I'm telling you about this, now the memories are starting to come back about, okay, now the memories are starting to flow. The recall is starting to happen of other incidents that happened during that timeline too. So it's kind of interesting where sometimes we take memories for granted as if we'll always be able to recall with ease what we want to remember, or moments in our life, the memories in our life that we want to bring up or talk about or think about, how we take that for granted. And when we can't recall things as easily or as specifically, where we may recall some of the people, but we may not fully recall the incident, or we may recall the people, or we may recall, well, that person was wearing a yellow dress, but we may not recall another person that was with them at this particular memory or whatever. And it's just amazing because memories are precious. And that's one thing, because I told you my dad's mother, my granny, one thing that never sat well with me, and I mentioned that, I forgot what daily thought it was of, oh, I know what it was. It was on the daily thought, see, memory, recall. It was on the daily thought, people grieve differently. It was on that episode. So for those who may be new, if you want to know what I'm talking about, it's from that episode. And I was talking about my granny, how it didn't sit well with me that when she died, I felt like I was cheated because she didn't know who I was because of dementia and Alzheimer's, which runs on both sides of my family. And it's just interesting with memories. And it's weird how that particular memory of me being a customer service agent for this adult website company when I first lived in Los Angeles triggered all of this other stuff about being able to recall things. And one thing about me, I'm not a picture person. I don't like taking pictures. People are always like, oh, let's take pictures, let's take pictures, let's take pictures. And my mother is a picture person. She loves to take pictures. And it drives me crazy all the time because anytime that she visits with my dad, she is like, oh, let's take pictures. I'm like, oh, you know, and it's because she likes to remember the moment. For me, I'm just like, well, I was there. Just like when I've met celebrities and stuff, I've never asked for a picture. I've been around celebrities like very well-known celebrities. And I've never asked for a picture because I've always felt like, what am I asking for a picture for? I was there. And I just kind of, it just hasn't been my thing. However, as time goes on, when it comes to recall and things like that, I can appreciate how some people, okay, let me break this into two categories, and it might even be more categories, but the two that are on my mind right now are the ones that I'll bring up. There is a category of people when it comes to, and I'm talking about celebrities, where they take the picture just to say and show proof they met a celebrity. Whatever. I'm not judging, it's just whatever. And then there's another group of people where they are taking the picture as a keepsake to look back and say, oh yeah, that's when I went to that concert and I met that person. It's more of a keepsake, of a memory. And that night I also did this, and that night I also did that, and then we ate at this restaurant and ate at that restaurant. And see, another memory that just came in when I went to a certain concert with this guy. Quick side story. I'm not going to say the concert because I don't like the artist. But the artist at the time, which this incident, one of many, was why I stopped supporting this artist. But anyways, me and this guy, we were dealing with each other. And he was like, I want to go to this concert, but I don't want to go by myself. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you telling me? Like, well, will you go with me? And I'm like, fine, and we went Dutch. He paid for his ticket. And like, we were on the phone and we were online at the same time. And we were like, okay, where are you sitting? What row are you on? What seat do you have? Okay, if you're picking that seat, then I'm going to pick this seat. And then we're going to click confirm at the same time, and then did that. And it was like, the seats were okay. I think the tickets were $200 or whatever, something like that. So, and this was back in 2006-ish, I think. So yeah. So we went to get something to eat. Then we went to the concert. Then we came back and we just chilled and stuff. It was a nice evening, even though the artist was overrated. But you remember things like that when you have a picture. Now, we didn't take any pictures. It's in my memory. It's in my memory. I remember that we ate at an Italian restaurant. I don't remember what restaurant, but I remember we ate at an Italian restaurant too. It was I think the restaurant was in Marina del Rey, if I'm not mistaken. But, because I lived in Marina del Rey at the time. And I can appreciate it now, how some people take pictures of things. Because I've done a lot of things in my life, but I never took that many pictures. Now, when I was younger, like high school days or right out of high school, I took a lot of pictures, and I still have some of those pictures too. But as the years went on, I just did stuff. I met people, and I just didn't take any pictures. It's in here. It's in my head. But with that moment when I thought about that particular job, and I was like, wow, that hasn't been on my mind in years. And then it makes you think about other stuff. But the thing is that we won't always have the ability to recall like that. Just like when I started thinking about that job randomly, and it's like, oh yeah, I did work there. I did do that. And then it brought in all the other stuff. And just like I was telling you earlier, where I was bringing up where I worked at this factory, and then it brought in, also I worked at this particular vitamin company as well. Stuff that happened decades ago. And I'm able to recall it now. But 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, I may not be able to recall like that. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, you may not be able to recall it. Just like that. I can't, there we go, get a better snap. I think I can snap better with my right hand than my left. But knowing that really makes you appreciate memories. It makes you appreciate memory. Just like with my multiplication tables. With multiplication, my mother taught me in the 3rd grade because that was the thing. I'll never forget it. My 3rd grade teacher, Miss Johnson, she's like, okay, you guys need to learn your multiplication. My mother said, because I was trying to do it by adding, because if you're doing like 3 times 7, which is 21, I was trying to do 7 plus 7, 14, 14 plus 7, 21. And my mother's like, no, you don't do it like that. She said, all multiplication is memorization. She said, all you have to do is memorize 1 through 12. So basically anything up to 12, I knew. So 1 times whatever going up to 12, 2 times whatever going up to 12, and so forth, all the way from 12 times whatever going up to 12. I knew all of that. I knew 12 times 11 was 132. I knew 12 times 12 was 144, and so on and so forth. And my mother, she drilled the whole night with flashcards. We were at the kitchen table. She drilling the whole night with flashcards. I'm like, and then the day came when I was in the 3rd grade. And everybody in the class with Miss Johnson would start drilling. What's 3 times 5? 15. All right. What's 6 times 7? 42. And she started with the kids. None of the kids got a perfect right across the board when she started drilling. Except one kid. And you're looking at him. And when she drilled me, she kept on going. And I kept on spitting out the numbers. And finally, she stopped. She reached in her purse. She took a $1 bill and slammed it on the table. And smiled. Because I got every single one right. I did it from memory. But with my multiplication tables right now, my recall is still pretty good. If you were to ask me certain things, like 11 times 11, I believe 121, times 10, 110, times, the 11s are easy because anything before 10, you just double it. So times 9, 99, 88, 77, so on and so forth, or whatever. To do other ones, if you were just to spit something out at me, I'm not sure how fast my recall will be, how fast my memory will be. So this episode is to drill home, appreciate your memory. Because as you get older, the recall may not be there. The people that you spent wonderful moments with, you may not be able to recall those moments as easily. Some moments you probably want to forget, because Lord knows I do. But for those that you want to remember, the stories that I tell you throughout my daily thought, or thoughts throughout life, the things I've been through, the things I've done, it's because I'm fortunate enough. The universe has blessed me to be able to recall my memory and memories, to be able to recall those moments in my life and what I may have learned or what I think is entertaining to hear. It may not always be available. Now, my mother's mother, my nanny, her memory, her recall wasn't on point, but her memory was pretty much intact till the day she died. And she was in her 80s. And I hope that I have that type of recall where I'm in my right mind whenever my time comes. The internal joke with my friends, my close friends, is that I'm immortal, which has been tested over this mono thing for all of 2020. But I really hope those who are listening or watching don't ever take your recall ability when it comes to your memory for granted, because there will be moments in your life, there will be people in your life that you want to remember, and you want to remember every detail. And if you want to take pictures, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. As a matter of fact, that I endorse. Even though if my mother were to show up right now with my father, and she's like, okay, let's take pictures. Yeah, I'm going to roll my eyes a little bit, but I'll go ahead and do it because A, it's my mother. I don't do everything my mother asked me to do, clearly, and she'll tell you that. And B, because anything that can help with the recall of the memories, I'll take it. And that's all I got. Thank you for listening. I see I have another binge listener. I looked at the analytics and then all of a sudden the numbers shot through the roof again. So I have another binge listener, whoever you are, for my binge listener that listened to all of my episodes. Thank you. I love you. I really appreciate all the love. It's amazing. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. KIRWKC on Twitter, on Instagram, or on Twitter. Facebook.com/KIRWKC. If you're watching this on BitChute, no, not BitChute, wrong one. That's on my other platform. If you're watching this on YouTube or Dailymotion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, followed by the notification bell. That will let you know when I upload new videos. Shout out to Ireland, Russia, and the United States listeners. You guys are rocking hard with the show. And for everyone else who is listening outside of the United States, Ireland, and Russia, I love you too. Until next time, be blessed.